Hello, my name is Michael Driscoll, and in this tutorial we will be learning about Boolean operators and Python's none. So, you might find that you often need to know if something is true or false when you're programming. For example, you might want to know if someone's old enough to create a bank account. If they are, that is usually represented as true in a programming language. These are known as Boolean operators, or bool for short. Bool is a keyword in Python, by the way. In Python, false maps to 0 and true maps to 1. You can easily see how this works by messing around with these values here. So true equals 1. If we try to say true equals 2, it will return false. False equals 0. If we run that, you can see that it shows true. If we try to change it, you'll see, false doesn't equal anything other than 0. We could try like a negative number. That's also false. But it is a 0. Can false equal true? Obviously not. It also returns false. When you want to compare two values in Python, you need to use equal equal instead of a single equal symbol. A single equal is actually known as an assignment operator. And I actually mentioned this in previous videos, I believe. It assigns a value on the right side to the variable on the left. So let's go ahead and see what happens when you try to assign a value to true. True equals 1. You can't assign to a keyword when you try to do that. So if I try to do like x equals 1, that works. We're assigning 1 to the variable x. But certain keywords you just can't do that with. It's just not allowed. Now you could do this. str is also a keyword, but it's not like a built-in, I don't believe. So anyway, the main thing here is str. You've just overridden what this would normally do. So let me show you quick. So str will convert like numbers to a string. Oh, you already broke it. So let's say we do int equals 1. So this will convert the string 1 to an int. But if I make int equal to 1 and then try to cast a string, it won't work anymore because now int is a string and it's not callable. So you can really break things if you assign to a built-in function. So just don't do that. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't assign anything, to keywords in Python, like true or false. But you can assign things to built-in functions, which you really shouldn't do because you end up with weird logic errors like you see here when I try to cast an int. You try to cast a string to an int, but I've already messed up what int does. Alright, the bool function. Python provides the bool function, which lets you cast from other types to true or false. Let's give it a try. So here, we are going to cast the string 1 to a bool. Okay, well, the string 1 turns into a true. Okay, that kind of makes sense, I guess. Bool 2, that also turns into true. Bool 0, wait a minute, that says that it's true as well. Anything greater than 0 should be cast as true, but that third one has a 0 in it, and it's true as well. The thing here is that Python has a concept of truthy and falsy. What that means is when you are dealing with non-numeric types, true will map to sequences with 1 or more items, and false will map to sequences with 0 items. So in this case, the string 0 has 1 character, so it maps to true. Let's see what happens if you try to cast an empty string. So here we have bool with a string that has nothing in it. That goes to false. Let's put a character in there. Now it's true again. Even though it's just a space, this will map to true. So it has to be an empty string completely to map to false. Let's try casting some of Python's other types. So here we cast a list. This is an empty list, and when you cast it with bool, it returns false. If you put an item into the list, though, it becomes a true cast. Here's a dictionary. Empty dictionaries map to false. Dictionaries with one or more items map to true. Bool of 12 is true. So, if you try to cast to an empty list, a list with one item, an empty dictionary, and a dictionary, you can see that empty lists and dictionaries map to false, where lists, dictionaries, and even sets with one or more items will map to true. Integers and floats that are 0 or 0.0 will map to false, while any other value will map to true. Let's go back to this one and do 0.0 to show that that also goes to false. All right. Now, what about none? Python's none is kind of like the null value that you'd find in other programming languages. It's a keyword in Python, and its data type is the none type. None is not the same as 0, or false, or an empty string. In fact, if you compare none to anything other than itself, it will return false. So, none equals 1, that's false. None equals an empty list, also false. None equals an empty string, false. But none equals none is true. You can assign none to a variable. Note, however, that all instances of none point to the same object. So here we have x equals to none and y equals to none. If you print their IDs, you'll see that they both end up being the same number. So let's see. I'll make this work the way I wanted it to. I don't think it's going to work quite right if I do it this way. No. Let's go back. Need to run this code. Now we should be able to run this. All right. So when we print it out, you can see that these two numbers are exactly the same, which means that both x and y's identities are a match. So when you check to see if a variable is none, you should really use Python's is operator. The reason is that is will check a variable's identity. So if you wanted to check this properly, you would say x is y, and it would say it's true. Let's try changing y to 2, and then we'll do x is y again. Get rid of this one. And now we get a false, because they no longer match. Any questions? If you do, go ahead and put them in the comments or drop me an email. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.